Leslie Wells, Connection Coach here. I used to do traditional counseling for years, and now I actually do coaching. I help individuals in relationships, work on the relationships, heal, repair, do a little bit of trauma work, childhood work by looking at things through an attachment lens. And so one of the things that comes up a lot in marriage coaching is betrayal. And if you have seen any of my other TikToks or videos, you know that I am a Christian. And so I truly believe that no matter what happens in a marriage as far as betrayal, God can restore, redeem. And many, many couples who decide to stay together after a betrayal have a much better connected, intimate relationship than they ever did before. Some of those end up even having much better relationships than people that have never gone through a betrayal. So let me preface it by saying that I truly believe that marriages can even be better after betrayal, and it does not mean the death of a marriage. So there are three circumstances, though, that I would say would tell someone that they probably should not continue staying in the relationship after a betrayal. So the first situation in which I would tell someone not to stay and repair, and not necessarily divorce, but not stay in it at that time, separate, take some time and see what happens, is if the person who betrayed the other partner had absolutely no remorse and refused to take accountability. If there's no remorse and they're blame shifting, they're not taking accountability, if they're blaming the partner or something wrong in the marriage, then they're not ready to do any work. And at that point, I would separate myself from the relationship until either that change came about, and if the change never did and they never were willing to take accountability and show any remorse, then that marriage, as far as I'm concerned, I would probably tell them that that would probably be over. The second reason that I would tell somebody not to repair is if both parties were not 100% committed to doing the work. And I don't just mean the repair in the marriage to rebuild trust, to work on vulnerability and transparency. I mean their own individual trauma, because there's going to be trauma on both sides. Both parties need to look at all of the trauma that's happened in their marriage, in their childhood, look at their attachment styles, attachment wounds that may have led the marriage to go there, how they were both not showing up well because of those wounds. They need to understand why they show up the way that they do, learn better tools, strategies, coping mechanisms, whatever need they were trying to fill when they betrayed their partner. They need to understand why and figure out new healthy ways to get that need met or get those needs met. Whether it's validation, fear of abandonment, whether it's just avoidant tendencies, trying to avoid something, whether it's easier to be with a partner who is keeping things at a superficial level because intimacy and closeness is scary to you. Whatever the reason, we have to really dig into the attachment style and learn the attachment style of the partner that you betrayed so that you both can show up in ways that feel safe and just completely rebuild your marriage from the ground up. And you both have to be committed to doing that work. If someone is not on board with that and they're not committed, then there's really no way for that relationship, that marriage to heal. You have to do your part while God's doing his part. And part of the work for the betrayed is truly coming to a place of forgiveness and not allowing the betrayal to just completely overtake the marriage. They have to be able to be committed to moving past it, to starting over, to rebuilding, and to really just being able to forgive. The last thing that I would tell somebody if they were willing to repair or wanting to repair after betrayal is, once you have both come to the table, everything's out on the table, and you've decided to work together to move past it, if at any time it happened again, if at any time your partner betrays you again, I don't care if it's emotional, if it's physical, if it's anything, I would say at that point the relationship should be over. Now, if they wanted to stay and work on it, then absolutely I would help them work through that. But for me personally, my feeling is the amount of trauma that causes to an individual who has to repair from that, it's just not worth it to go through it again. If a person has broken your trust once and you've worked through everything and you've learned new tools and techniques and strategies and you're repairing the marriage and they go back and do it again, I personally would never walk through that another time or encourage a client to go through that again, just seeing the amount of trauma that it causes my clients and the things that they have to do to overcome it and move past it. I mean, for many of them, years down the road, there's still triggers, there's still fears, there's insecurities, and those are really hard to work through. So if you went through all of that work and it happened again, I would tell a client at that point that they should probably end the marriage. So there you have it. If you have been through a betrayal in your marriage, if you are someone who has betrayed your partner in marriage, I work with both sides. I have compassion for both sides. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done. If you need help walking through that, then reach out, message me privately.